We are here at the Chicago Teachers Union event in Union Park. It is May Day right now, and we're here with the union, lots of other unions that are here right now. Educators, teachers, union members, this is a message that your union doesn't want you to know. Your dues do not have to fund this. Opt out today. It was at this point in the day the event actually turned into a march, and so anyone who wanted to go participate on the march went off and did so. Our team did not participate, primarily because talking to so many disillusioned communists was literally giving me a headache, but also because the whole point of this was to get people to talk to us on camera about what they believed. And the likelihood of getting someone to talk to us on camera during the march, which was a already very loud and unruly affair, was unlikely.
So there you had the Freedom Foundation talking about being at a Chicago march, and they've got the teachers unions that have all assembled together to march for a political cause. What political cause could be so important that you would need to use a bunch of teachers to show up and materialize together to make a voice be heard louder? Well, there are quite a few different types of political endeavors that the teachers unions invest in. Let's talk to Corey DeAngelis about it. Welcome back to the show, research fellow for the Heritage Foundation, senior fellow at the Americans for Fair Treatment, as well as author of The Parent Revolution. Corey, welcome back.
Hey, Annie, thanks for having me. It's good talking to you.
You as well. I wanted to have a conversation with you today because I know we've got a lot of teachers who listen who are now out of school because most people in this area are on summer break now. I get a lot of people who say, I listen to you in the summer, but I just can't listen to you during the day because, of course, they'd be educating right now. A lot of them feel stuck in their teachers with their teachers unions. And I thought, let's talk about what teachers unions are actually doing with those dues that these teachers are paying. And you're the best person to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. They light that money on fire. It doesn't go towards representing teachers. There's actually publicly available information on this, Annie. Every state has basically funnels up to the national teachers unions. And so the top two are called the National Education Association. That's headed by Becky Pringle. She makes over $500,000 a year. And the other one's the American Federation of Teachers. That's headed by Randy Weingarten, who also makes over $500,000 a year. And if you look at the publicly available LM2 report from the NEA, for example, less than 10% of their total funding goes towards representing teachers. It says that. It admits it.
Repeat that again.
Less than 10% of their total funding goes towards representing teachers. It goes towards political activity. You look at Randy Weingarten. She just wrote a book calling conservatives fascist. She dedicated $1.4 million in teachers' unions' paychecks towards promoting her book. No wonder she hit the New York Times bestseller list. I mean, so, teachers just don't know this is happening. And so I've been telling them, just like what you heard on that video, is they can go to optouttoday.com to leave their union, whether you're in a red state or a blue state. Why would you want your money funding, one, politicians you disagree with, two, union bosses who push their politics into the classroom, and three, people like Randy Weingarten who are making over $500,000 a year? Why fund her salary when it's not making its way, that funding's not making its way into the classroom? And this has been ruled your constitutional right in 2018, according to the Janus decision at the Supreme Court. You can now no longer be compelled to pay union dues as a public sector employee, that includes public school teachers, as a condition of employment. So if you're in Illinois, you're in California, Washington State, any of these blue states, they can't force you into the union anymore, and you can stay an employee. And you might say, well, what about the liability insurance? What about, I don't want to be sued by the parents. And I understand that concern. Well, good thing that there's this thing called the Teacher Freedom Alliance. They're covering your costs for personal liability insurance now for free. So you're keeping more of your own money in your pocket. You are not funding political activity you disagree with, and you still get protected. I mean, it's a win-win-win solution. That's why over the past year, 15,000 teachers have already left their union, joined the Teacher Freedom Alliance, and they're keeping more of their money in their pockets. So this is the way to bring the teachers union bosses to their knees. It's a way to hold them accountable. In Chicago, I mean, you just pointed out in the video, they're pushing these May Day protests. They're pushing using students as political pawns. And this is coming from the very top. And guess what? It's become such a big deal, even in places like Chicago. Their brand has become toxic. They've gone underwater. And out of the latest polling shows that The Chicago Teachers Union among Chicago voters has a negative net favorability rating of negative 26%. So most voters are not supportive of the teachers union in Chicago, even in a deep blue city. And that's probably why a majority of the people they endorsed in their election lost this most recent go around. And even the Democrat politicians hid their endorsements from their campaign websites from the Chicago Teachers Union. That is, I mean, we've known for a long time the Republicans weren't buddy-buddy with the teachers union bosses, but now even the Democrats in deep blue Chicago are saying, you know what? You've gone off the rails. I don't want to be associated with you either. They used to brag about these endorsements. Now they're hiding them. And that just goes to show you why so many teachers are leaving the unions too, because it's just, they've strayed away from their purpose. They're not even representing the teachers well. They're not spending the money on the teachers. We knew they weren't spending the money on the kids.
Yeah.
And it's going towards political purposes. That's making the whole profession look bad.
Yeah, it certainly is a toxicity to being associated or attached to specifically the Chicago Teachers Union. But the strong will that they carry politically in local races, state races, national races, it's been a very effective tool to get Democrats elected. I don't know if you have the specific statistics on it,
Yep.
but how many Republicans, what percentage of Democrats to Republicans are supported with those dollars that literally come out of a teacher's paycheck to go into the union? They funnel it back to support politicians to get elected. How bipartisan is that?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, nationally, both of the unions, the NEA and the AFT, you can look it up. You don't have to trust me on this, even though you should, because I'm right. But if you go to the Open Secrets website, look up both of these unions, over 98% of their total political contributions go to Democrats.
98.
It's a money laundering operation. It's a one-sided political tool of the left. And even if you're a Democrat, maybe you want that money to go towards teacher raises instead. Maybe you want that money to go towards figuring out better ways to teach kids the basics. And a lot of Democrats do just want to focus on their job as a teacher. They don't want to be engaged in all these political races. And even, I mean, just think about it. Even if you're a far left Democrat in the Chicago public school system and you're a teacher, if that money's not leading to higher teacher salaries, that's a problem. But even if you were interested in the political games, maybe you don't want to spend your own money on doing that, or maybe you want to do that voluntarily outside of your paycheck. And lo and behold, you look at the latest data from Chicago, most of the races that the teachers union endorsed in, they lost, even in Democrat primaries. So, I mean, they've run so far to the left that it's become a socialist institution more so than a left-leaning institution. And so even the moderate Democrats are leaving the teachers union now. And the one last thing I'll point out about Chicago is that they just had a vote for among all their members about whether the members would like to go along with the leadership's plan to increase their dues by about $800 a person a year. And it went down in flames so much that the CTU leadership came out recently and said, oh, we haven't counted all the votes yet, but a lot of them are in, and it looks like we're going to lose this 160-40. And, I bet you it was probably like 80-20 or worse for the unions.
Yep.
Otherwise, they would have told us the final numbers. They didn't, because they knew, they could see where it was going. It was going down in flames, and they'd be able to pass such a resolution if the teachers saw the benefit in doing so. The thing is, they're lighting their money on fire. It's going towards their political games. And I think the Chicago Teachers Union boss, Stacey Davis Gates, she was just called out in an interview among local news reporter because she was trying to say, we're not political. And then the reporter clapped back and said, yeah, what do you mean you're not a political organization? 80% of your funding goes towards political activities. And she just kind of, she didn't know how to deal with that, because she basically doubled down and said, yeah, but we're using this political money for good reason. And so she just kind of moved the goalpost. But it's just, teachers don't want to be a part of it anymore. And I fought for school choice for a long time, and that's a way to hold the districts accountable. But the way to hold the union leadership accountable is teacher choice.
Sure.
The power is in the hands of the teachers to vote with their feet now, and they can join the Teacher Freedom Alliance. I'm also with a group called Americans for Fair Treatment, And we've had in the past about half a year now, over 2,000 teachers reach out to us and in public sector employees to leave their unions too. So this isn't just, one group doing this, there's others as well. And this is the way so that union bosses can say, if we lose some of the funding because the teachers are leaving, maybe we should focus on the teachers.
Maybe.
And ultimately the kids too. Maybe we should get out of the political arena and, get back to basics. And so I think that's the only way things are going to change. You don't want your money going towards Randy Weingarten's book projects to the tune of $1.4 million. Well, maybe you should tell her, you know what, I'm going to take my money somewhere else and leave your union because this is basically an abusive relationship now between the teachers and their union mob bosses who don't give a crap about them.
Corey DeAngelis speaking with us right now about the teachers' unions, the money cycle that you might find yourself being a part of, but not really knowing that you have an option to not be a part of it. Corey, there are teachers who feel like, okay, yeah, the money, I'd like to have some of that money back. I think the dues are too high. I don't really like what I get for it. But they're actually worried, afraid of even working in an environment where people might find out that they dropped from the union, that there might be some sort of retribution that exists there. Does that happen?
Yeah. Well, it certainly can, but that's another reason why it's so great that there are alternatives to the union. Because, I think about this in the same way I think about the COVID school board fights. Before COVID, parents didn't say much of anything at school board meetings because they were afraid that if they stuck their neck out, they'd be the only parent to do so. And they would be retaliated against. Their kids would get failing grades and on this, that, or the other. There would be retaliation from the public school system. So a lot of parents they didn't say much of anything. But then they started to see on social media and elsewhere that there were other parents to lock arms with. Moms for Liberty, grew from just having a few chapters in Florida to basically every state, over 100,000 members. And they started to see in the media that people supported them. And so now you have these other groups popping up, kind of like a Teachers for Liberty in a sense, this Teacher Freedom Alliance and others, where they have a support group. They're still getting professional development within these groups. They have other people locking arms with them. There's the power of social media groups as well. And so if you're not the only one leaving, which you're not anymore, it's really hard for you to become the kind of the lone wolf, and you're less likely to be bullied in that case. So it's become easier than ever to leave your union. One, legally you can do so. Two, it's your money. You should keep your own money. Three, the unions have gone off the rails. So, maybe before they were focused more on the teachers, but they're not anymore. They're focused on their political agenda. They're doing these May Day protests. One more example. Randy Weingarten was caught on a Zoom interview, and I put this on my social media, and it blew back in her face. I think it's illegal. She's breaching her fiduciary duties to the union members because she threatened Target executives saying, you didn't come out against immigration enforcement, so guess what? My union, AFT, owns 8% of your stocks in our pensions. We can pull that funding if you don't come out against immigration enforcement. Now, this is just wild on so many levels. One, why is the union boss admitting this? Why is she using her political muscle and also financial muscle and not her own money? She's using the teachers' money to say, I think you should be against Trump's immigration agenda. And it's like, three, that's probably illegal because she has a fiduciary duty to the members, protecting and making a good investment with their pension funds. So this is absolutely over the line. And this is another reason why, teachers are throwing their hands up in the air and saying, this is not for me. And most of them don't know this, not because they're not smart people. They're very smart people in our school system teaching our kids. It's because they have a job to do, a very busy job. They're not getting paid enough to do so. And so they're focused on that. They're focused on providing a quality education. And on the side, they think they're giving this money to people that are protecting them and spending it wisely and giving them a good retirement. But they're not doing any of those things, as we found out over the past couple of years. They're lighting it on fire, putting it towards political causes they disagree with, unwisely using the pension funds for political purposes. That crosses another line that I didn't think I'd see anytime soon. And the leadership is just making the entire profession look bad while the rest of the profession is trying to do their jobs.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's over the line, and I'm happy you're covering it on your show, Annie, because this is a way for teachers to figure out what's actually happening.
And I think that right now is a good time where teachers can maybe dabble into looking at the options. Maybe they don't end up pulling the trigger on it. Maybe it's not. Maybe they like some parts of their local union, don't like the national politics too much. But to your point, they need to know that they do have options if they choose to leave the union, somewhere to land that's going to cost less and give them more. Well, real quick, I got like 30 seconds left, Corey. Where do you want people to go to check out what those options might be?
Yeah, go to optouttoday.com. It's very easy because you can just click on your state, and then it gives you instructions on how to leave your union. So optouttoday.com, that's also connected to the group that's giving the free liability insurance. So why in the world, even if you didn't really care about what the union bosses are doing, just from a purely financial standpoint,
give
you
yourself
keep
a
your
raise.
Money, you still get the same benefits. Yeah. There you go. Bam. Optouttoday.com. It's an easy decision.
Corey DeAngelis, you're a treasure to have on the show with us. Thank you for joining us today. It's good to talk to you.
Thanks, Annie. Great talking to you.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Corey DeAngelis is the research fellow with the Heritage Foundation, senior fellow for the Americans for Fair Treatment, and also author of the book, The Parent Revolution. I do not believe that he used union funds to promote that book.